Good evening. The Quabbin Regional School Committee to order. Thursday, August 15th, 7:02 p.m. First item of business is the statement regarding recording.
Good evening. This meeting will be recorded and will be posted to YouTube and other social media platforms. By participating in this meeting, you understand that the recording could contain your video stream or your audio stream, including images of yourself or anyone in the room with you. If you choose to enable your video or audio device during the meeting, as well as anything or anyone else that may be in the background could be recorded. The recording could include any opinions you contribute and anything you say about yourself. On occasion, chat within the meeting could also be captured in the meeting recording. Therefore, anyone attending the recorded meeting may have aspects of their personal data recorded if they actively participate or not.
Thank you. Roll call for attendance, please.
Dr. Allen will not be here.
Right.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Willannon will not be here. Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Cartier will not be here. Mrs. Chamberlain?
Here.
Ms. Muck? See her. Mr. Alfonso?
Here.
Mr. Wiggler?
Here.
Mrs. Thompson? I don't see her online. Mr. Nutter?
Here.
Ms. LaRange will not be here, and Mr. Brophy.
Here.
Okay.
First item, approval of minutes, July 11th. You had it in the drive as well as in your packet.
So moved.
Is there a motion? Okay, so moved. Is there a second? Second. Do we have any school committee members online?
No, not yet.
Okay. On that, any potential omissions, deletions, or additions? Seeing and hearing none, since we have no one online, all in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? And abstentions? One abstention. No student advisory, correct?
Correct.
And we'll go see administrative report, superintendent of schools.
So in your packet, you have our report this month. We've been in the process of hiring. We had our new hire orientation today. And tonight, I'm really excited to introduce you to our new Hardwick Elementary School principal. So Emily Saltysick, and I'm really practicing that name. But Shelley helped me with remembering that, Emily. So hopefully I said it right. But Emily comes to us with lots of experience as an administrator. Most recently, she was a principal up in Templeton at their elementary school where she had 600 students. She's only been in Quabbin with us since Monday. And I have to say, I sat on a meeting with her today and she's really bringing a lot of her experience to the team already. And I know we're so thrilled to have you with us. And she's already hosted her welcome night for her families at Hardwick Elementary. And so Emily, I'll turn it to you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
And closer to it.
Whatever you like.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really quite excited to be here in Quabbin. And during the transition over, I was able to reflect on a lot of years of experience and how I've evolved as a principal. And I'm just really excited to get back to my roots. And small communities like this is really where my heart is. So I'm really happy to be here.
So Emily attended Hardwick Elementary School, if you didn't know that.
Before it was Hardwick Elementary School.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
What's the old red brick building? Gilbertville.
Oh, no kidding.
Although as a high school student, I did spend summers with the custodians cleaning the Hardwick Elementary School.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So another update on staffing, I just want to make you aware of, is that we had it put in our budget this year to hire an additional physical therapist and occupational therapist. And after Jill came to us and started working with our existing physical therapists and occupational therapists, they said that they felt that we would be best served by hiring a physical therapy assistant and a CODA, which she's in the process of doing. That's allowed us to save some money and will allow us to hire an additional speech language pathologist assistant. So that will benefit us in the long run. So I thank Jill for really working hard on that. We are going to talk about Title IX when we get to the handbook, so I'll put that off. And then I just wanted to just kind of let you know, we opened school a week and a half away. We're going to have a continued focus on equity and belonging. We've worked on that for the past couple of years. What you can expect from our administrative team in September is a document that shows you what our vision is for every classroom across Quabbin Regional School District that has inclusive practices and a sense of belonging for students. We are working to implement PBIS, or positive behavior intervention and support, at all of our elementary schools. You're going to hear some of this when our admin talk about their school improvement plan, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. We've also, the middle high school has been working diligently over the summer, thinking about restorative practices and especially thinking about alternatives to suspension in regards to vaping. So one of our more frequent offenses is vaping, and we're trying to think about things that we can do with our students that keep them with us and don't disconnect. This year, we have a lot of new curriculum. We have a new IEP that we're working on. And so we'll share that. We've had 3 days of our administrative summit. Our 4th one is Monday. We are undergoing a book study this year called The Culture Code. We'll be talking about that throughout the year. We're planning for our opening days. And one of the things that we're going to do a little differently this year is we're going to have some quarterly meetings with our cabinet team and our building administrators to increase the communication and align our goals with those 2 working groups. And the schedule for opening day is in your packet. So it's 2 days. It's Monday, the 26th and Tuesday, the 27th. All of our teachers and staff report on campus from 8:15 to 3:15 unless your working group has different hours. And the days are split. So on the morning of April 26th, the building administrators will kick off with their school-based teams. And then in the afternoon, they'll join us over at the middle high school for all of our recognition. So we'll recognize our employees who've been with us for 20 and 30 years. We'll recognize any retirements that we have in the fall. We do some fun raffles. And we will also introduce our new staff this year. And Tuesday, we'll start back at the middle high school with a breakfast, and then we'll do a kickoff and an opening meeting. And then teachers get to go back to their buildings. They can work on their mandated training, or if they've already completed that, they can work in their classrooms. So that's the start to our year. We're super excited about that. The other thing that you'll find in your packet is my entry plan. So you'll remember when we met with Mars, that the Mars rep was recommending, even though I was interim superintendent last year, that I had an entry plan for this year. So this entry plan is a little different than my goals. It's really, the purpose of it is to serve as sort of an outline, right? So that I can gather information, build a stronger presence across the district, identify strengths and opportunities across the district for growth, generate ideas, and foster improvement. It will be aligned, obviously, with the work that we do in our district improvement plan. But what I've outlined for you there are those 5 focus areas and what I intend to do to work in those areas. And then on the back, I included a bit of a calendar so you could kind of see when different things happen. And I'll continue to update this document for you.
Any questions?
So
Drive? The entry plan, is it on the drive?
Oh, yes.
the last thing I just want to talk about is we underwent recently a book review. So, we do curriculum reviews. We've talked about how we use a process when we adopt our curriculum. We have not had a book review in district for quite a few years. So we used a process, created a protocol. Shelley convened a team of, I think, 7 educators. And they went through a process of looking at a text and determining different factors about it. We used an anti-bias rubric. And so that's something that we anticipate we'll probably do more of from time to time. So that is my section. Any questions on any of that? Shelley, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you. So we completed our credit recovery at the middle and high school on July 8th. At the high school level, we offered, or 53 courses were taken by our students, and 43 of those were successfully completed. At the middle school, 16 courses were taken and 15 of those were successfully completed. So that's really great news. In regards to some of the students that were participating in Ingenuity to complete their courses, it was really difficult to get a exact number of how many students were enrolled in the summer program, because some of them are continuing Ingenuity from the spring through the summer, and some will still continue that work to get that completed. But during the summer credit recovery period, there were 14 of those courses that were successfully completed by some of our students. Our Acceleration Academy is running this week through Friday. So students are engaging in ELA, math, STEM activities to really help build their academic skills before the start of school. We will use a pre and post assessment within the Summer Academy to just gauge and measure the learning that happens during that week. Currently, we have 21 students attending at the middle school, and we have 66 attending at Hardwick Elementary School. I did get an opportunity to go to both locations and see students. So it was really nice to see some of our former students and also see some of the new students that were attending across the district over at Hardwick. All of them were engaged. They were happy to be there, see their friends, engage in the activities that were being provided. Coming up, and actually we started this week, we have some summer professional development happening for our teachers that are in their first 3 years. Currently, we have 70 educators participating in summer PD. And they, again, I mentioned they'll be running this week. The majority of them will be starting on Monday and running through next week. We also extended that opportunity to teachers who either changed grade levels or content areas, so that we're able to support their learning so they're prepared to work with our students. I do want to thank all of the teachers, the coaches, the intervention specialists that have given their time for during credit recovery, Acceleration Academy, and our summer PD. They put a lot of time into preparing that and working with our students and our teachers. So we're very grateful to have them on board. And then the last thing that I have is preschool across the district. So just to kind of give you an update where we're at with that. We're still working to fill up some of the pre-K spots that we have, but Hardwick Elementary for our full day program is completely full. Hubbardston Center School has 2 afternoon slots. New Braintree Grade School has 4 in the morning and 8 in the afternoon. Laura is currently reaching out. She's already reached out to quite a few parents on the wait list. So some were waiting to hear back from them. And some are waiting for some paperwork to fill those slots. And then Ruggles Lane School has only 1 afternoon slot that's available at this current time.
Thank you. Any questions, Michelle? One quick one?
Sure.
In regards to credit recovery.
Yes.
Thank you. I know you were pushing hard on that. We were pushing hard on that for all those opportunities for kids and for high school kids to be able to recover that. The 43 that attend that weren't as successful, do they have a second shot? Do they have a second piece to it? Is there another way to do it? That's one quick question. And on the Ingenuity piece, when you mentioned some had the summer, the spring, summer, and a fall component, is it because it's a longer course duration or it has multiple parts?
Those are great questions.
So for the credit recovery for the high school students, the in-person sessions are over. So that
Okay,
is sort of off the table. But that doesn't mean that if those courses were not fully completed, that we might not have offered them the opportunity to do Edgenuity to finish it out. But more likely than not, the students who didn't gain credit, it was due to attendance factors and different things like that. As far as the Edgenuity, it really kind of depends. So some of our students could be engaged in a course that they started in the spring, but it probably wasn't aligned with our spring semester. Some kids just
Gotcha.
might need a little bit more time to complete it. It's not necessarily that it's multiple sections or things like that.
segmented that way. I hear you. Skill-based, competency-based along the way. Thank you.
Kevin?
Anybody? Just a few updates on projects that we've completed this summer. The middle school gym and dance room floor refinishing projects have been complete. Those were both full sand downs and refinishing. The zero floor project where we actually removed all the VCT tile and installed a new product called LVT. That's been completed as well. The last two carpet jobs that we had in the schools will be completed by August 20th, which are at Ruggles Lane. The replacement boiler project in New Braintree is 95% complete. They have to do a wiring upgrade to the back to the panel tomorrow because the new boiler is actually a higher KVA, so they have to change the wire size back. Wiring for a new vape sensor in the bathrooms, everything's been completed from the server closets back to the bathroom where they're shooting for the equipment, tie those in. Cleaning and lift maintenance projects are underway in all the schools, and we're just about complete on that. The middle high school track repairs and warranty work is tentatively scheduled for this Saturday. And the storage building behind the track, we actually started installing the foundation this week.
Any questions?
Fantastic. Any questions?
There's also another document in your packet from the meeting we had with Building and Grounds. I was looking for you, Mr. Nutter, I'm sorry. The other day, and Kevin has all the projects outlined by school on there, so you have that there as well.
It's on the drive too.
Yeah, Andrew is not with us tonight because he's super not feeling well. So apologize about that. We are, he's been out all week, so we're worried about him. He never gets sick. Is he on?
He did, no,
Oh.
he did update the report.
Yeah. So he updated his report. It's similar to last month. So as you know, we've been trying to migrate our internet over, upgrading the phone system. They're redoing all the Chromebooks, the desktops, all of those things. And they're pretty much ready to rock and roll for the start of the school year. Andrew was out today, but he sent one of his tech guys over so that he could get all of our new hires onto their devices, make sure their emails were working and they could run through Alice training today. So even though he was out, he made sure that we didn't miss a beat with that. So we really appreciate that. Cheryl?
I want to make a correction, something I said last month because it was so wrong and didn't realize it till I was driving home. I said last month the district took in $111 million. That is not an accurate statement. What it really should have, I really should have said that's the amount of cash transactions that occurred during the year, noting that there are transfers among bank accounts when we do our warrant. I'm sharing some things that Julie Kelly, she is the liaison to Mars and the legislature, and she sent this out to us about a month ago. She's very concerned of some of the chatter she's hearing during legislative meetings. And it really all goes around at the Chapter 70 and minimum aid, which is the anywhere between $20 and $104 per student that some districts get, 211 districts get, that are and hold harmless. So some of the comments that she is quoting here from her meeting that she attended, hold harmless provision maintains prior funding levels even if enrollment declines. The former representative, I believe, believes that it should be phased out and old enrollment numbers over time should be phased out. So that means no Chapter 70 money for 211 districts. He stated the current policy ironically works as a disincentive for communities to create housing, since it is financially rewarding districts for limiting their student population. So I've heard this a few times in my career. I've heard Jay Sullivan say that you'll never get 100% transportation reimbursement in regional districts because you'll just put more buses on the road. Really? I mean, this is such a sad comment coming from a former legislator. So MBAE is where he is working now, Mass Business Alliance for Education, opposes minimum per pupil aid allocation, describing it as a gift. It goes to every district without regard to need. Quabbin's hold harmless debt this year is over $2 million. Just Just imagine what our district would look like without that $2 million. FY 24 year close, as I mentioned earlier in the meeting. I had come to the committee in middle of June with a small budget transfer as we began to close the year out. And then you graciously awarded me the right to do what I needed to close out the budget. So I've done that. The year-end reports are actually in your packet, and we'll go over those in a minute. Keeping in mind that Student Opportunity Act has yet to bring additional funding to Quabbin, but has reduced our hold harmless debt. Some transfers are made to increase reserves to provide assistance in funding budgets over the next few years. I provide a little chart as to what our hold harmless aid has done since FY 18. It's been reduced by a little more than $3 million, but we're $2 million still in debt. So for FY 24, we talked about this in January and we did it. We moved $400,000 worth of expenditures that were in school choice. And for newer members on the committee, we only use school choice for buses, number one, and two, salaries, so that there's an easy transition. Transparency is clear. You can see the transaction goes from here to here, nowhere else. So we made a transfer from rules to rural school aid, as we discussed. Now for FY 25, it was voted in the fourth proposal of the budget to use money to reduce retired teachers' health insurance in the budget by $300,000 and put that to rural school aid. Want to make sure you don't forget that moving forward. We also reduced classroom instructional hardware during the budget cycle by $147,000, and a vote was taken on March 12th to use the Technology Stabilization Fund. We had sufficient funding left at the end of the year that Mr. Walsh was able to get almost everything that he needs. But we talked and he decided that we should not come to you to ask to not to reverse that decision right now, see how it goes during the year. He may need it to start the refresh cycle for FY 26, which he usually buys in June. So just remember out there that there is that vote that will need to have action taken by June 30th.
And then Dave, be aware on that, on the committee, so keep an eye on that and work through that. Thank you.
So the report is in your packet tonight. One that is on legal size paper that is all different color coding. So these are the transactions in the colored column. Letter to the extreme left, described on the bottom of the transfers made during the closing out of the budget. I won't go through those because you're not going to take the vote, but we are closing the budget with $415,377, or just over 1%. So that will drop to E&D. The revenue sheet is also in your packet. Our final revenue sources came in $60,203 more than projected. That is totally due to the fact that we do not budget investment income. Believe it or not, interest rates are pretty crazy right now, so we are bringing in some investment income. However, large sources of our revenue were significantly under the cherry sheet. Chapter 71, transportation aid, charter school reimbursement, and Medicaid reimbursement. So we are actually lucky to have that $60,000 dropping to E&D. Our warrants, let me add one more thing, but I didn't get it on my report, so let me go back and. I forgot that I was supposed to go to a buildings and grounds meeting this week, Mr. Nutter. So I want to get for you the contact information for the gentleman who is hoping to work with the district on our press box. Put that in the. So Mr. David Southwell has been trying to get his foot in the door, although I told him that we would need to do a procurement of some sort to work with an engineering firm or a bleacher company to work with us. So his information is there. If the school committee wishes to pursue this project, I suggest we have him come out. He has tried to get on the property. I told him he couldn't until we had a discussion at the table. But he's willing to come out here, look what our needs are, and come up with a plan for the school committee to move that project forward. Okay. And now warrants from last meeting. Bi-weekly payroll warrant 2, 3, and 4, weekly payroll warrants 3, 4, 5, and 6, and accounts payable 4S, 5A, 6B, 7H, 8B, 9A, 10FR, 11FO, 12S, 13FQ, and 14P. Also in your packet for reporting is the year-end report on grants and revolving accounts. FY 24 is completely closed out. The auditors were here for 4 days this week. They say they won't be on site, but they'll be working in their office. They have no idea when the draft report will be ready because since their takeover, there's a lot more backup that they need to have. Some of the things that they are doing are going to blow your mind. When we get revenue from the state, Stacy Skerry goes online to Vendor Web and downloads a report, which is the backup we need for our Chapter 70 charter school reimbursement and transportation reimbursement. And she books that entry. She gives the auditors that report. She gives them our general ledger entry. That should be enough. Not for our new audit firm. They actually will have to go online and get their own Vendor Web report to make sure we didn't make it up. I thought that was crazy until I heard the next day we had to give them access to contacting our bank accounts. Because they have to get our bank statements, 28 bank accounts, directly from the bank and make sure the ones that we gave them are true. Be prepared for your audit costs to go from $27,000 to, because that's nonsense. The labor hours involved in that alone is going to increase audit costs substantially. But again, they were out of here in 4 days. I don't know when we'll see the draft reports, but I will be available to review those for you. That's all I have for tonight.
Obviously, there's a lot. Are there any questions for Cheryl?
Question on the audits. So Cheryl, I go through a number of audits myself. Is there any way that typically during evidence collection, you can leverage screenshots of the technology if they're looking to get bank statements, things like that? Has that been discussed at all as a way to streamline that effort?
Not according to them. We had to actually have our district treasurer sign an affidavit that allowed them access to the bank themselves. They had to get them directly from the bank. We have no access to bank accounts, so I couldn't even go online and get you a screenshot. Nobody in this office has access to any bank accounts. It's all through our district treasurer, but they wanted the bank statements from the bank.
Thank you.
It's a brand new firm. They were bought out. So Powers and Sullivan was bought out by Markham back, I think, in February. And in July, they were bought out. They're in the middle of a merger right now, being bought out by another company. So it's a level of detail we haven't gone through before, but.
Markham's a big firm, I think, isn't it?
Well, what they did was they went out, they bought Powers and Sullivan, they bought from Langston and Heath, the two largest audit firms of school districts.
Yep.
And then in 6 months, they turned around and sold them for, I bet, a whole bunch more money. I think that's what's going on.
Absolutely.
So this is the first time and
They
we'll see
see
if.
plenty of fish in a barrel.
We'll see if how many new reports we have to go over when they come in to do the exit conference.
Okay.
Jill's up next.
I don't have a lot to update on. The extended school year program is wrapping up tomorrow. Last day for our program students, their PS1 program ended 2 weeks ago, but tomorrow is the last official day for the rest of the programs. We had great attendance, great engagement. Colleen already kind of went into the hiring update. I will say that I was pleasantly surprised by the candidate pool, very strong candidate pool for all the positions that we've got going on right now, which makes it a very difficult decision to make, which is a good problem to have, I guess. The new IEP, so the new IEP has rolled over into Aspen, so it's up and ready to go. I have less anxiety about the new IEP since it didn't roll over, because I've had a chance to go through and look at it and play with it, and I don't think it's gonna be as big as a lift as we thought it was going to be, kind of going into the new year, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the special ed teachers and limited service providers feel the same way. Let's see, that was left over from last time, but indicator 14, I'm still working on trying to get indicator 14 data. So far, we've had 5 students respond, which was up from 5 when I first came about a month ago. And then our program guide, still working on those. I've made some additional edits to them and I'm planning on taking them to the program staff. In the first month of school, and then really having them kind of finalized by the end of the fall, and having them ready to go.
Thank you.
Greg?
Okay, as of now, for work-based learning, which is our internship program, we have 40 students that are interested in pursuing that in the coming school year. We probably have about 25 of those 40 students placed, and I continue working on that hopefully before we get too far into the school year. As far as virtual high school, which is an opportunity the state presents to our students to access AP STEM courses that we either can't offer or have major conflicts in kids' schedules. Right now, there's 9 students that are able to access those courses. And as far as our Innovation Career Pathways 419 grant, that's a grant that we're coming into the 5th year of having access to that grant. Last year, it was $125,000, and this year coming up, it's only going to be about $50,000. It's only going to be $50,000. And it's been very, very helpful in terms of establishing innovation pathways and getting that ball rolling. But I just want to make you aware of the fact that that money won't be there beyond this year. The other thing that I want to say about the Innovation Pathways and the 419 grant is Laura Holbrook has been absolutely wonderful. And I know she is with all the grant work that she does, but she has been an enormous help to me over the course of the past couple of years in terms of making sure that those grants are taken care of. That's all I have.
Thank you. And then Mr. Mivel, is just getting geared up for fall athletics. I ran into the football coach the other day. He was here working on our floor, and he's quite excited about the prospects of our Quabbin football team this year. So you might want to set aside some Friday nights for some football. That'll be great.
And I think our boys basketball was successful over the
Yeah.
summer down in Auburn.
We saw that in the newspaper as well.
And the Wally Seaver tournament down in Foxborough.
Super.
Okay. Thank you for the full report. All the other directors as well. No teacher advisory council. Before I go to the subcommittee reports and further on the agenda, I apologize. I neglected to kind of open with a quick statement in regards to 2 school committee members. Joe, we met Joe a month ago on Zoom from Hubbardston, new member, and then welcome back Crystal Kelly. Her seat has changed. And glad that you're back. And welcome both of you, and looking forward to working with all of us this year. Sorry for the saying you in the first part of the meeting.
We'll forgive you.
Subcommittee reports, administrative review. There's nothing, audit, nothing at this time. Budget, Mark.
Nothing at this time.
Central office, nothing. Collective bargaining.
Nothing at this time.
Building, grounds and safety.
Yes, we have a meeting. 13th. And the list of things that Mr. Clark presented in his report is the really short list compared to all the papers, all the lists on here. The Buildings and Ground Committee, department has been going crazy. They've done a ton of work. They've done some beautiful things to the buildings, and we got to see the middle school gym, and it's like glass. It's so shiny down there, and some of the hallways, the zero flooring. We saw the cafeteria. There's another floor that's beautiful. Some new tables down there that do some funny things. So yeah, it's good stuff down there. So the other thing that came up was this Hardwick Elementary. It looks like it needs a new roof, and so I don't know if Mr. Clark wants to talk about that, but it's going to be. We're not sure what steps are going to be taken. If it's going to go to MSBA or if Hardwick's going to pay for it. So that's sort of up in the air right now. So
So from my understanding, when the building was built, the plywood that was used was incorrect for the substrate underneath the shingles. The whole roof is a shingled roof. When they went back in and to replace the plywood, remove the shingles, replace the plywood, when they reinstalled the shingles, they didn't install them correctly. So when you do shingles, there's a certain amount of overlap you have to come down to roll the water down, and there's grooves in the shingles to make sure you cover. They did not do that. They left them more separated apart. The only thing we can actually think of is that it was a cost savings measure. So because that is spread apart and doesn't have as much overlap, when you have driving rain, you have snow, you have ice, it can get up underneath the above shingle, go through the plywood to get in the building. So we had brought this to Hardwick a couple of years ago, so they are aware of it.
Okay,
We are having a concentrator in the cafeteria that does leak because of this. The rest of the building is kind of sporadic. It really just depends on the way the rain's going or the way the wind or the snow, et cetera, is. But it is definitely going to continue to get worse.
And so the last thing is the press box. And Mr. Clark is going to be contacting some folks who are willing to do this kind of work. I think Cheryl mentioned that Mr. Southwick.
Well,
So he must be one of them. So again, Mr. Clark may want to expound on that, but we may have to do a vote on this. I'm not sure if we're going to do that.
So I think what we're looking to do going forward with the press box is each of the press box companies have engineers, et cetera, on staff that can provide us with stamp drawings, et cetera. So I think we're going to come up with a generic scope as to what we're looking to accomplish and try and send it out to different press box companies to get qualified bids that are similar to apples to apples, which will basically get to what our needs are. We've gone the route with trying to get individual engineers involved to try and put a scope together to bid it out for us, but we've had no success in doing so.
so you're still at the scope perspective of trying to get plans in place with a potential engineer company?
So that's what we tried to do before.
Right.
Cheryl had sent something out to try and get an engineer on board that we could have work with these press box companies to come up with a design for us and then bid it out. Was unsuccessful with getting any bidders. So now we're looking at coming up with a generic scope ourselves, basically saying we're trying to accomplish this. And then have each of the different press box companies provide us with what their package would be to do so.
So really, Walter, and really stay tuned. You're working on it. We spoke about this last year. We know we had the authority to move forward, to do all that type of piece. And so now you're kind of really starting to move this as quickly as you can, but you've got those other roadblocks along the way.
Turning in a different.
Impediments, yeah. Okay.
Well, that's all I have.
I have a question. Who hires the contractors for, say, a roofing job, Kevin?
On a roofing job, but it would go through the state and they would solicit the vendors.
so last week, a former associate of mine sent out, does anybody have a RFP for an owner's project manager for a roofing project? I wrote back, I've never worked in a rich enough district to do it on our own. So our district would not do that, Dave. We would not do that on our own. The superintendent would put an SOI, statement of interest, in with MSBA. We'd go on the list. We may or may not be approved year one, but if we got Hardwick in on the next SOI window, it would be in the pipeline. And those types of projects, when you get reimbursed by the state, they assign you an OPM, an owner's project manager, and they assign you an architect. And we kind of just go to all the meetings and make sure all the paperwork is signed, dated, and sent where it needs to be, but they take care of all of that.
Is that a fairly recent practice? I am very aware of the second roof in Hardwick. And I was associated with the man who was hired locally as a clerk of the works kind of thing. And there was some questionable practices that were going on when that second roof was installed that he was aware of.
Yeah, there's no such thing as clerk of the works anymore. There's owners, project managers. And the best that I can say is when OCAM put their roof on, that was not done that way. We had to get an OPM and a owner's project manager and an architect. Then when we went to do the roof on the middle high school to do the atrium and the panels, we were assigned by the state, those two types of firms. And then so for the Hubbardston roof, the middle high school atrium and panel, and the Ruggles Lane roof all went through MSBA. I mean, the project went through MSBA at OCAM, but they chose their OPM and project manager.
That second roof in Hardwick must be 30 years old.
Roughly, yes.
Kevin, I can give you some insight later on about what was going on down there. Well, I'll tell you, this is according to the clerk of the works, and Colleen, you'll know who I'm talking about, Jack Dowell, from where. As I recall, the company that was doing the work hired young men from Ireland as workers. And they were, according to Jack Dowell, they were paying them cash for 40 hours. And they were working them overtime. And they had a dormitory situation with a hotel or motel in Sturbridge. And they were dunning the workers' rent for the hotel. So what's always struck in my mind is I watched one worker, so the back of the building where the gym roof is and where the entrance is for for all the deliveries. They were getting bundles up. There was no lift to dig the bundles up. They were going up with ladders. One ladder was being used by a guy going up. Another guy jumped off the roof to get his bundle to follow the other guy up. And I'll never forget the guy jumping from the roof. And I thought something was very wrong with that picture. So it's no doubt in my mind that the shingles weren't applied properly.
You can see it from the ground clearly, actually.
That won't happen anymore.
Good.
Anything else, Walter?
No, that's all I have.
Okay. Policy and review form, no. Student services, nope, Peg is on here. Technology. Okay. Ad hoc school district configuration. We'll know more on that once we have our meeting and discussion of talking about the regional agreement. What it looks like, what the requirements are. We had several members, as we know this evening, are not here. That's why we ended up canceling the meeting this morning with the professional development on the regional agreement. We'll do that. Those two dates, the 19th, the 26th. I know an email went out this morning from Jess. We'll know more, our next steps as we go forward on that. Unfinished business, compilation of results of interim superintendent. Just wanted to kind of just tell you that in your packet, and it was given to you as well in your drive. We had, we're so grateful to have Colleen, Superintendent Muhar, leading us. And last year, although we chose and we had an interim, Colleen was strong-willed and really wanted to be evaluated and stated, please keep me organized, work with me, and let me develop. And I will continue to develop. And so we did do a short version last month. We did the evaluation. There were comments that were made by members of this committee that were absolutely elated of the information, the amount of information, the breakdown of information, and the evaluation. So instead of doing our normal process, which will go in line going forward with our superintendent, we will still have evaluations. Goals will be coming in the fall. We will do the process. We'll go to a subcommittee to do the tallies and report out. But on the interim, we did it this way. Thank you last month for doing the work and calculating it. We put it in one document. It was put together by Jess. Everything went to Jess. And you have it outlined in regards to the responses from anywhere from exceeding to anywhere from the 1 to 4 rubric, as well as the comments. So we do have a proficient interim superintendent who finished June 30th. with the full language of the superintendent for 3 years and hopefully a lot more than that. And she continues to lead this district and work with us as we know about what shared leadership is all about and the responsibilities that we have as a school committee, as well as the work that everyone in this room helps and supports, but the people that are sitting are the administrators and the folks and the principals and the teachers and the support staff, from the crossing guards to the cafeteria to the superintendent, for what they do, how they do it, and what they do for kids. So again, we do our part, and I figured instead of not going to subcommittee, doing it, we didn't have to languish this. We have it in front. It was given to you as well in the drive. The comments are here, and it's a public document. So are there any questions? Or before I do the questions, is there a motion to accept the compilation of the interim superintendent's evaluation? Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, any school committee members online have rejoined us? All in favor? Raise your hand. Aye. Opposed? And abstentions? Unanimous. Thank you. Public comment,
From the public online.
school committee concerns. Only one. We had a very nice evening last night. Gerald Duvall's last report was this evening
It was.
for Quabbin. Maybe we can, we have Julia that's stepping in and will be going forward. But more than welcome to come back in other ways if you'd love, you know.
Nobody understands the term retirement. He's trying to get me to work from Mars, he was trying to get me to work from Mars, like, no, retirement. So the last committee meeting for 29 years. About 6 months ago, I told my husband, I can't go to dinner on Thursday after the school committee. Maybe someday we'll be able to go to dinner when we want. We can do that now.
So I just really wanted to say thank you. I met you in 2007 when I got on the committee, and I've truly appreciated not only what people said last night, but what you believe kids, what's right for kids. But you kept us and you've educated us to be able to speak better, clearer, and understand. It takes us time to learn that, and it did take time, but you continuously did that for all of us and the community and everybody around. So I just wanted to say, and I hope others may want to comment, I wanted to say thank you. I am glad that I have worked with you and met you. I truly mean that.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that will make a comment?
Yeah, just probably the same comment I made last month, and I was unable to attend the meeting. I had a conflict last night. But the bottom line, going forward, it's I'm gonna think of Cheryl a lot, because she always had the answer many times in advance of you asking the question, which is really the key to the budget process. And I know that, we've had some lean years, we've had some years that weren't so lean, but the bottom line is, aside from the PowerPoints. We had a discussion early on the PowerPoints. Cheryl did a fantastic job, and she's gonna be sincere in this by everybody.
Well, I do want to point out to you that I promised to leave you in good financial order. You'll see on the revolving report, we have $5 million in school choice that should help you to get through at least 2 to 3 years. Especially if there's no more minimum aid.
Right.
So between that and rural school aid, I hope that we can continue everything that we do.
One question, where do we stand in school choice? Are we still in the top 3?
Oh, I haven't looked at a list in a long
We have
time.
what,
I think we are. I think we're still, I think we're.
280.
Like 270 something, I think.
270 something
270,
coming to this
270.
The virtual academies are starting to pick up more and more students, and And there's also a district that's down.
Provincetown, what's the one down the Cape that got?
Yeah, there's one south of the Cape, a large district that they don't want to regionalize, so they are tuitioning their kids in from all over the place. And that's through school choice, so now they're the largest one, other than the Commonwealth Virtual Academy, but we're still up there.
I still have people calling about school choice as of even today.
And you can see by my reports that I do for budget that we're still within the 11 to 13% of our overall population is school choice, and that's held constant for 15 years, so. We're not losing kids to go other places. There's just not too many kids here anymore.
I think the before and after school programs are really key. So they have a robust program, and parents really appreciate that.
Enjoy your retirement.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to say something too. You know, every year we go to the conference on the Cape, and of course it's loaded with school committee members and superintendents, and oftentimes we're sitting in a session. I know I've said this to other people before. We're sitting in a session and somebody, I remember one time there was a superintendent from a very wealthy district near Boston, and he asked a question about budgeting, and I'm saying to myself, I know the answer to that. Cheryl taught us that. And you know, it happened more than once. You know, we would hear questions in that conference, and the Quabbin people knew the answers to those questions because you taught us.
I'd like you to know that over 29 years, I've never been to the conference at the Cape.
Do you want to go this year?
When they start to have a conference where entire Massachusetts can go in a reasonable driving distance, perhaps, but that's just nuts that everybody has to go to the Cape to golf. Because that's the number one thing on the agenda for the Masville people. So the people that are in Western Mass have to drive all the way to Cape Cod for a 3-day conference.
It is all.
Not ours. We're not doing the golf.
But anyway, thank you for teaching
That's the
us
Masville.
so much, and being a wonderful person, and you know, not taking any crap from anybody. But doing it with a good sense of humor. So, you know, I mean, all those things, I appreciate that. I think everybody here does, so.
Thank you, Mr. Nutter. I'll run into you in Maine somewhere.
Sorry, I couldn't make you dinner last night. I had an incident. at
Be
home,
fine.
so.
No problem.
Don't work.
I'm not going.
Go to dinner when you want.
That's right.
Get up when you want.
We never, ever have had to worry. We really haven't. And I guess I'm gonna be the only one here, maybe with the more stern kind of attitude. But you are gonna be missed immeasurably, and we really cannot thank you enough for your years of service and what you've done for all of us.
Thank
We
you.
truly appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
So enjoy every minute now. You earned it. But you can come back. This is always home.
I took my box and my blender out. I'm not coming back.
I'll be happy to put it back in.
Told her to go on the circuit. She could be at the conference presenting and stuff like that, you know? All in regional schools, everything else.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Not all people who retire should be hanging up a shingle.
That's true. That's true.
And I'm one of them.
Okay. So again, thank you
Thank you.
for everything.
You're welcome.
New business, we're gonna. Okay, we have no other school committee concerns. FY 24 budget transfer, don't have the vote, so you said we've already gave the authority, you updated us informational, we're all set, and any type of thing we can take next month. Okay. Appointment of Julia Sari Franks as procurement officer for the Quabbin Regional School District.
Cheryl really would love to hold on to this title more than
Oh, wait a minute.
anything else she does, right,
This would be
Cheryl?
the first thing off the list.
What happens if we don't vote it? I don't support it.
My license expired yesterday.
Oh.
Their least favorite part of the job. But Julia, you're gonna love it.
Is there a motion as to,
So moved.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, any further discussion? Question? Seeing and hearing none? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions?
You can pass that shingle.
School improvement plans.
Yep, so each year, at the start of the year, we review our school improvement plans. So I've asked each of the building administrators just to prepare a couple key points for you. Their plans run multiple years, but they've made progress on goals and they're continuing their work. So we'll start with the middle high school. So if Principal DeMarias wants to just share a couple key updates about your plan.
Sure. Unfortunately, I can't open your slideshow because you didn't give me access to it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Should I do that now or what would you like me to do?
Can if you'd like.
Okay,
I don't
give
have
me-
access to your school improvement plan either.
Okay, I am giving it to you right now. So it says you are a viewer, but restricted. Got it.
In order for me to share it,
Yep. Give me 1 second. And okay, could you try right now?
take a minute now.
Maybe you can just speak to it if you have it up on
Yeah.
your computer. Sure.
Sure,
Wait a
sure,
minute, I
no
might have it
problem.
now.
You have it now.
Might have it now. Bear with me a sec.
We
There you
love technology. We're gonna hang in
You got
there.
it.
Hang on. Okay.
Okay, there we are. Okay, so I wanted to keep this simple because we are definitely working on several initiatives in the building. And for our staff, sort of piecing things together that would make sense for them this year and kind of going into deep avenues of a lot of our work is really important. So we've kind of meshed it into two big themes this year. We are building culture and we are calibrating. So in terms of culture building, our goal is to foster a culture that creates a sense of belonging and appreciation for all, while continuing to promote equity and kindness. And we are going to do that with a continued focus on our CEL practices that really elevate the student voice. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in some of our PD, really looking at ways in teachers' curricula that kind of tailor to the IB philosophy of student voice, choice, and agency, which is really powerful. So not just allowing the teacher to do all of the dialoguing, but finding ways to really dig deep into the curriculum, have critical thinking met, and find other practices along the way. It could be through academia, that we elevate students to give us a little bit more feedback. Create equitable opportunities to positively connect to our schools, students and families and staff. We're going to ensure a safe and supportive school culture that values diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I love the fact that Superintendent Muha, during our admin meetings, takes a moment to do an equity pause. And so anything we do, we take a moment to sit back and reflect, and any decisions we're making, we pause and we think about the DEI lens, and we want to continue that work in everything we do at the school level as well. We are going to communicate and celebrate, so professional relationships and collaboration. So beyond just the potlucks of coming together, but really dialoguing and working with one another, co-teaching, building those relationships with our interventionists and our support staff, really building our culture. We are going to practice self-modeling, and that's the most important trait. We believe that's super essential for students. So we are reminding staff our positivity, our own resilience, the notion of hope, especially at a very political time that's coming up in the fall, respecting differences of attitudes and opinions, appreciation and gratitude. So that culture piece is going to be essential this year. So that's the first slide. Jess, if you can help me with the second. I don't know if you're there. I'm sorry, I can't see.
Yep.
Okay. And the second piece, we are digging deeper and calibrating in terms of our systems. We've put together in the last couple of years a lot of great systems to really look at student academic support and our student support teams. We want to mesh those together to really meet the needs of our diverse student body. So we are going to ensure a commitment to all students by systematizing expectations, academic and behavior, through interventions and restorative practices. We plan on doing that through more consistent expectations and restorative practice work. Superintendent Muha talked a little bit about our focus of finding different avenues to meet students beyond suspensions. And so what can we do proactively to meet some of their needs? If they are into trouble, what are some resources we do have to really support them so they can get back onto track? So we'll be continuing that lens of support. And in terms of our policies, we are adding a layer of putting cell phones away once into the classroom. So that's going to be very interesting in the fall. We are starting that piece of just eliminating sort of the technology as students are walking into the classrooms. Our attendance policies, grading and academic eligibility, academic malpractice, really fine tune our language so students have a comparable experience with teacher A, B, or C, no matter what they're in. So our coordinators are working on a lot of that work, and we'll continue to dig deep with that. In terms of communication, we do have our weekly newsletters. We want to continue that work. I'd like to expand our parent newsletters this year into a middle school parent newsletter with a middle school focus and a high school parent newsletter. So we'll look out for that for the year, and I'd love feedback from all of you and from the parents as well. We thought that would be a very good need met, so just a layer of support there. And we want to utilize our academic coaches and interventionists to increase academic rigor and breadth and supports. So we have a great, rich, diverse body of supports within the middle high school. We want to strategize some of their expertise and make sure we're communicating well within the classroom. So we'll be doing some of that targeted supports and really using our professional development to enhance the experience for kids. So those are our two big themes this year, building culture and calibrating. And the last slide talks a little bit about, of course, change is hardest in the beginning, messiest in the middle, and the best in the end. I feel like we are still a little bit in the messy stage, but we see lots of crystal lights in the end. So we're coming to a really good conclusion, and you can see some of the work with academic courses that the students have been taking in the summer. 81% of our students did pass those courses that you just saw. Shelley kind of previewed with you. That's a pretty high rate for some of our very needy students. So we hope to continue some of the work in the summer as well as proactive work throughout the year. So it will be a bit messy, but we hope to see a really great light at the end of the tunnel. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Very clear. Thank you.
Principal Carlson, can we ask you to go next for Ruggles Lane?
Absolutely, yeah. I think a few of the things that I wanted to highlight, and particularly around our first goal, and I believe they're probably consistent through our elementary schools, is really around strengthening community partnerships and providing an opportunity for parents and community members to, have opportunities to connect with the school. And one thing I want to highlight for Ruggles Lane is we, through a parent, were able to partner last year with the Mass Cultural Council. And in that work, what they were able to do was fund the creation of 4 large murals that we currently have at Ruggles Lane School. So our parent essentially reached out and partnered with our art teacher, Mrs. Cook. And then our 5th graders are actually the ones that painted the murals, and they came out absolutely wonderful, and they're beautiful. And I think one of the things that's really important to us in sort of that outreach and bringing in this, membership group and this parent is we're creating these murals that now we can sort of stretch out and maybe connect parts of our building that feel disconnected. And I think, as Ruggles Lane School has gone through like a metamorphosis and some, building projects and things, now we're thinking about ways how we can partner and maybe continue that partnership with the Mass Cultural Council and creating some artwork that will connect parts of the building so that you always know that you're at Ruggles Lane. So that's one thing that we're really looking forward to, is finding the locations for those murals. They're 4 feet by 8 feet. And I know a few of the school committee members have had the opportunity to see those. And if you haven't, come on over and take a look. Another thing that I think we're really proud of in regards to our second goal, which is really creating like safe, supportive school district. And that is for our students in promoting, diversity and equity. We have taken steps to establish structures at Ruggles Lane where we have teacher volunteers who comprise two groups. One of them is we refer to as Team Kids, and the other one is our building leadership team. And really, over the last year plus, our Team Kids group has really focused on drafting, the foundation for our PBIS model that we're going to sort of take steps and continue working on this school year. And we meet once a month, and I want to just, praise those staff members who give up their time outside of school hours to, put the time and effort into what they believe is best for our kids. And on top of the Team Kids group, we also have our building leadership team who really focuses on, we have grade bands represented by teachers, and they come and they represent, those grades, and it could be conversations around curriculum or building based initiatives or the creation of, our all school meetings. And our all school meetings we do every single month. The last Friday a month, you're going to see how that sort of lives through the Ruggles Lane school improvement plan. And what we do on those last final Fridays is we hold an all school assembly that we really model after, the components involved with responsive classroom and morning meetings. So we have, that greeting, and we have an activity, and we have a share. So we're really kind of like modeling as a school what the expectation is within each of our classrooms. And we've got a really great response from students and parents on our all school meetings. And I think just to kind of circle back around to the work that our Team Kids group has done in regards to PBIS, we have taken strides in working on acknowledging those positive behaviors that we are looking for every single day. And we kind of always, based on the tenets of of PBIS, we always talk a lot about, respectful, responsible learners who contribute to a safe learning community. And we have found opportunities to call that out. So we have this initiative in our school that we refer to as RLS Rocks. And really what it is teachers nominate students every single week. And we receive those nominations with a little sort of blurb written by the teacher, something very complimentary, calling out what the student has been achieving. We, as an administrative team, we reach out to home, we connect with home and make sure that they understand, this is what your child is doing. And it's really a positive connecting point for outreach into the community. And then we tie it into our announcements the beginning of the next week, and we call out those students who are being honored as those RLS Rocks role models. And we give them, a little bracelet, and then we take a picture, we put them on our bulletin board, and we also share it on Instagram. So we're kind of like, taking something that we're trying to break outside of our school walls, we're connecting with the families, and we're connecting with the community, and acknowledging and calling out what those behaviors are that we're looking for every single day. So I think we've taken a lot of steps that we're really proud of in calling out all of those wonderful things that our students are doing each day. And I think we're extending that. We piloted a little star sightings program last year, which is also linked into our PBIS system, where teachers in the moment, on demand, at any point can, notice and name a behavior that they're seeing in a student and plaster that up on a board. After those live on the board for a while, we're going to staple them to a paper, mail it home, and then they can have it at home. So I think we're taking a lot of steps, as I know we are as a district, to establish a PBIS model that's a little bit more consistent throughout the district. And I know some of our elementary schools have had a system in place up to this point, and that this is something that's new for Ruggles Lane. But I feel like the work that we've done as a team over the last year is really is something that I'm really proud of. And I think it really speaks to the work that we're doing in our goal number 2 in our plan for, creating an environment that promotes that diversity and equity, and acknowledging all those great things that students are doing. So if after going through the plan you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you.
Questions? Thank you, Chris.
Principal Worthington, do you want to go next for Oakham Center School?
Not to repeat everything that Mr. Carlson said, but we as elementary staff did work collaboratively on our objectives, and it looks a little bit different at each school. But just to piggyback on the PBIS program, we had started the PBIS programs years and years ago when I first came, which was years and years ago. And back then we were Eagles, and we had what was called the SOAR program. Now that we have a new Panther, we're now the Cubs, or so we are is called PAWS. So we have be sure to please be respectful, always be kind. We are responsible and stay safe. And since I have all new staff from then when we were the Eagles, we really started last year, started off with having a school-wide program in the gym, and we started off with classroom pause. And when the classroom filled up their PowerPoints by exercising and presenting what PAWs stand for, they got a reward. Then we went into individual PAW cards. And so they could take my chair for the day. They could be the principal for the morning. So the kids really, really bought into it. And we also had a PAWs song, like, well, I won't sing it to you, but it was in the theme of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. And so what we're really hoping to do is really tighten that up this year, because now I have the same staff that we started with last year. So I'm really looking forward to that, because the kids and the staff really seem to enjoy that program. But also just to touch on the academic growth, I'm finding that we are, as a district, really working on and increasing our students' progress. And now that we each have our own coach / interventionist at our own building, we're seeing students really increase in with the data, and really getting into the data and working on interventions, if you will, and support for the students. So I really think that as a district, that is an objective that we're really been working hard on, and I'm very proud of it. But if you, again, like Chris said, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're really work great as a elementary administrative staff. And even though we have the same goals and objectives, each school looks a little different. So I'm very happy to share any more information with anyone.
Tricia. No? Any questions? Good.
Principal Cook, you want to talk about Hubbardston Center School?
Sure. So as most of you know, I was new to the principal role at Hubbardston last year, but spent many years as a classroom teacher. And so one thing that I learned really quickly as a teacher was the importance of building a really positive, strong culture in my classrooms. So I was committed to teaching character education throughout my days as a teacher. And that's one thing that I really wanted to bring to Hubbardston. So each month we have a different character education trait that we focus on throughout the school. So for September, it's respect. So morning announcements, every day I address the students and staff and somehow talk about respect. Every classroom would have the same poster displaying respect in the definition for the teacher to refer to throughout the day. And then the school in different areas has that same word displayed depending on the month. And then the staff work together to create like a common list of read alouds, so that during morning meetings, sometime if a teacher is finding that they need to talk a little bit more about respect, she has a list she can go to of books to read aloud. So we worked really hard to kind of start that common language and those common expectations. We'd have a monthly all-school meeting where all the staff and students join. And part of that meeting each month would focus on that month's character education trait. We would talk about it, what it would look like, what it would sound like. We would share either a video or a song. And so it just kind of became part of our everyday there. So one thing that I'm looking forward to continuing to grow is that character education. And I think, as you've heard, we're going to be implementing and using PBIS district-wide. So I think that's going to help us to build upon creating that really positive culture for students and staff at Hubbardston. So that's one of the things I really look forward to this year, and find that's going to be an easy way to kind of continue to build that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Fantastic.
And Emily, since you've been on the job for exactly 4 days.
I look forward to hearing
Yeah, well,
detailed report.
I'm not well with tell us about you kind of situations, but in the context of this, I might be able to highlight some of my experience. So I echo everything that my colleagues have said. Our main goal was ways to connect everybody to the community, creating a safe, supportive culture and providing learning opportunities that support all needs or the needs of all. And in looking at the SIP and the outcomes from last year on paper, they were hitting everything right there. But I have to say for my first week, it was excellent to have kids and adults in the building because regardless of what's on paper, when you walk through that front door, you see it and you feel it. And I know with my experience, I knew what to look for. And I met with the admin team today. We talked a lot about the academic needs. And then I followed up that meeting with our PBIS group. So we too are using the same 4 expectations that OCAM is using. So there's continuity there. I introduced to them the idea of a different character trait to acknowledge every month, and they really like that. So it's the same thing that Hubbardston is doing. One question that they asked, which I absolutely loved, was we'd love to know what middle school and high school are going to expect of our kids before they get there. So that's definitely coming down the pipe because it's really important to have that forward thinking ideas and what that looks like. But what I've been able to do, this is why it's so comfortable coming into Hardwick Elementary School in Quabbin right now. The last 2 districts, when I started, they were at this point when it came to multi-tiered systems of support. So they were just kind of starting, Quabbin's a little further along than where these school districts were, but I've always been at the beginning stages. And what I said to the group today was, you know, when I meet everybody, I don't want to talk about my last districts, but I said, I was in them long enough that we met challenges, we figured out how to fight, fix those challenges. And everybody at the PBS team really felt that was important for the Hardwick Elementary staff to hear that, to know that we might hit challenges, but that there's somebody at the helm who can help work through it and bring suggestions and that type of thing. So it feels very comfortable already. And I'm really excited to bring a lot of the experience that I've had, good and bad, to help prevent the bad and moving forward. So really excited about this.
Great, thank you. So the one thing that the administrators didn't talk about, and I'm just gonna remind them maybe, but when we had our summit, as the elementary team was meeting during the summit, one of the things they said was, sometimes it's really hard to bring the kids to school committee and you just get to see sort of a snapshot and they're young. And so they said they would love to have school committee members in their buildings more often. So I want to put that out on the table. It's something they would like to do. Talked about whether we'd create a calendar for that or not. But more to come because I think that's something that they would really enjoy, being able to showcase the things with a little bit longer amount of time so you could see what's happening. And I'm sure that's true for the middle high school as well. So that's something you can plan on hearing more about. And when we do bring our kids, I'm sure they're going to share things that are aligned with the school goals this year. So, yeah, thank you guys for your hard work.
Do we need a vote on this? Do you have the school improvement plans available in August? Are they already in the drive? Okay. So we do have them.
Yep.
And with what you're hearing today, I would like to move school improvement plans for the school year 24-25 forward. That's in our drive, as well as, I don't have mine here, so I don't have my drive. Is there a motion to accept? So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Just one quick comment. Thank you, principals. We all know school improvement plans become a roadmap, but hearing tonight, even from all of you, that the depth and breadth that you're looking at it, yes, you'll take care of the needs of kids. You'll look at the academics. I understand the hard skills, the soft skills, but you're also looking at the environment, the culture and the climate. That we can't get anywhere without kids being safe and having not only a purpose, but an understanding. So, I can yap, and I apologize sometimes that I say a lot, but We do value school improvement plans. It's not just a perfunctory thing from the school committee perspective. We may not delve into it and do an analysis and have our principals, give us what charts and what things. The administrative team does a very good job giving us the information and continue to do that. So we will thank you for supporting us and we will support you. And I just wanted to echo that, the importance of the school improvement plans. I know you live and breathe that. I know your culture and climate for the kids and your staff. But we do value it, and it's not just a rubber stamp to say, thank you for that, and that's it. So I hope we are appreciative. I hope there's an understanding and we do appreciate it. And I love that idea that we should spend a little more time ourselves visiting the classrooms too. So that's something that some of us are better than others and they have the time to. So thank you for that invite, and I think you will see other folks there as well. Any other comment?
Yeah, if there's special events or things going on at the schools, if there's maybe some type of shared calendar or something, maybe, we could get or something to have access.
I think it's also not just the special events, but the day-to-day happenings.
Okay.
So I think their philosophy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe when we talked about this over the summer was like, we'd love to just open our doors on a regular day so you can really see what happens in the classrooms. And not just for those, special occasions.
All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous. Student handbook changes.
Oh, sure. We're getting mosquitoes. So you reviewed the handbook changes previously. And I told you we really had to wait for the new Title IX language. So that's really what tonight is all about. So our lawyers have provided us with the most up-to-date language based on the changes in Title IX. I'll highlight just a couple things that I think are really important. So I think it's okay, actually, if you don't, there's just so much here that it's a little confusing. So one of the biggest changes is that sex discrimination and sexual harassment have moved out of civil rights and fully into Title IX. So the language around civil rights doesn't include that language anymore. So that is completely a shift. So that's why you have our bottom statements about non-discrimination will become slightly different. And the grievance procedures are a little bit different as well. The other thing is that what you have in front of you with the handbooks is we've basically taken these documents, we've replaced them where we needed to, or we're putting the links in. So everything has to link back to the Title IX grievance procedure. And we have time with our lawyer on Tuesday where he's going to go through all of this with us. There are some things that are different that Quabbin has to think about. One is to make sure that all of our schools have a lactation space within them. We also, for Title IX, it will move to a single investigator model. So one person will be leading that investigation. However, we have to have other people identified along the way, such as an appeal officer, which typically happens, but also an informal resolution facilitator and a confidential employee. So every school is going to have to name someone within their school that can work with our students through processes, staff members, and maintain that confidentiality. So we're working on that this week to identify all those things. But some of these changes are really pretty different. There is a policy. So none of this, what's in front of you, what's going into the handbook requires a policy change. However, there is a policy for us to look at to see if we want to adopt that policy. So we'll bring that forward to policy subcommittee in October. Yeah.
Any questions on the Title IX perspective? Yes.
I don't know how to say this. Are there any things in Title IX that require the school to keep like not inform a parent of something, like if a child says he's transgender or something like that, is the school required to keep that?
That is, there's nothing within Title IX around that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard that in Massachusetts law, do you know, of? I mean, I don't know.
I don't have the document in front of me, so I don't want to say straight out, but if you want more information on that, we'll share that with you. So there are regulations around, we use preferred names, right? Things like that. So I'll get you more information on it. I don't want to speak.
So anything else highlighted on the student handbook? Except for the Title IX? Colleen?
Nope, that's it. You went through them last time.
Okay, so collectively, I think we can vote to accept the changes that have been put forth, including the update on Title IX. Is there a motion to accept? Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous. There's no request for executive session. Is there a motion to adjourn? So moved. And second?
Second.